Hello, I'm James, and I'm an old guy in Europe. Hello, and welcome to another episode of An Old Guy in Europe. In this episode, on the Good Morning Portugal Show with Carl Munson, we talk about the Steve Miller Band, me becoming a beginner translator, and how we all experience and measure progress in Portugal and in life. So, as always, I invite you to please sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Twang! Here he is.
That final note.
You love it. We all love that final note. Swing! No, not swing. How are you doing this morning, James? Have you had a busy weekend?
Estou fantástico.
Oh, fantastic! Oh, excellent.
Sim.
Yes.
E tu?
Oh, maravilhoso. It was incredible. It was so good to meet. You may have seen there as you were lounging in the back.
Did, yes.
Being fed peeled grapes by our team. There you go. My mug. It was so great. Yeah, I went to the barbecue a bit early. Peaked a bit early at the barbecue. Got stopped by the police. Got fined by the police for the first time. Met Philomena. Went over to the market on Saturday and a fantastic time at the San Martino de Porto festival on Friday. How about you? that was quite a lengthy description, wasn't it?
Well, I was focusing on your golden mug. I said, maybe you should just take that instead of the paperwork. So if you get pulled over by the GNR, you can just offer them a golden mug.
I would never do such a thing, honestly, James. What are you like? My golden mug. This sounds so special. Sounds like a Harry Potter.
Yes.
The Gumpers and the Golden Mug. I think she's working on it now, and I think you're collaborating with her as our erotic novelist. Can you imagine that? You and J.K. Rowling writing the Gumpers and the Golden Mug. That's going to be a
the
winner.
Banana slug in the golden mug. I love it.
Yes, you're the man for that. So, what's been on your mind?
Well, a lot, always. Of course. I got to thinking last week, I guess. Oh, by the way, happy 10th episode. I realized this is now the 10th time you and I have gotten together on this show. It just amazed me. It felt like 3. So anyway, here we are at the Big 10.
The Big 10. We made it, man.
We made it, right. Yes. I only discovered that because a very good friend of mine in California wanted to see the episodes that I had been in. And so I had to go back and track each episode, find the link for it, and send it to her. And it's like, how many of these are there?
Yes.
I discovered there were 9 at the time. So
what you thought would just take a couple of minutes, you're there 3 hours later, forensically digging out.
Yeah, and to me, I know the saying is time flies when you're having fun. I've realized that as I age, time just flies no matter what kind of time you're having. And it seems to accelerate. It seems to go faster and faster. Maybe that's just because I'm getting more and more confused. I don't know. But
if you're getting more confused, sometimes it would drag, wouldn't it? But you make a very good point. I'm sure it's not the only point you're going to make, but yet, is everybody finding this, that time is flying? Because I think it's a collective thing. You could blame your age, but I think it's a lot to do with our context as well. I think that the times, not only are they a changing, but they are a quickening as well.
Well, and our focus. I mean, I'm a huge advocate of bringing ourselves to the present moment. And when we do that, there is an experience of time slowing down.
Yeah.
But with the technology, with everything, you can move anywhere instantly all the time, 24/7, be just inundated with information and other things. that may make time feel like it's going slower, or may make it feel like it's going faster. I don't know which, but for me, the experience is time just, as is that the Steve Miller Band, keeps on ticking, 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 just into the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what it does. It just keeps on moving.
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah, so true, so true.
So anyway, last week, we interestingly, I didn't even do this intentionally, kind of concluded with this idea that when we're looking to be settled, and we keep looking to discover that sense of place, that it's actually found in the here and now. And this is one of my own personal quotable quotes. I wrote, that sense of settled is here and now. It is the pause and resting place between there and then. And I kind of like that, putting that together. So it's like, quote, James Hawley. I'll throw that in every once in a while.
Well, this is your actual timestamp right now for all eternity, isn't it? We'll know that you said it on the...
Yes, absolutely. So, and then that got me thinking, it just went to sort of random stuff. So today feels a little scattered, but it's always all connected in some way. If someone will say something in my life and I'll say something, and they go, what? And I go, well, that's actually connected to what you just said. It's 15,
yes.
20 connections, but it's there. Yeah. So it got me to thinking about short moments, small moments that, if we pay attention to them, remind us that we are settling, even if we haven't had that experience of, I've landed. And it reminded me of an experience, actually probably a couple of months ago at this point, at the Mercado in Ericeira on a Sunday. And I've made a connection with the woman at the fruit stand there. And I'm intentionally learning phrases that I can practice when I engage with her. And she had a surgery on her wrist, so I learned how to say, how's your wrist? Things like that. So I could personally. And we don't talk much, but there's a little bit of engagement more than just, hola, bon dia, and ciao, ciao, yes. And I saw a couple of people come up on my left, and they were not speaking Portuguese and they were not speaking English. So I always want to try and listen and say, what language might that be? Or what accent are they speaking if they're speaking English? And they were trying to figure out how it worked at the produce stand. Are we supposed to, is it self-serve? Are we supposed to ask for help? Are you going to put the stuff in the bags, or do we do it? What do we do? And they were looking confused, and the woman and her husband who run the fruit stand were asking them in Portuguese, or trying to communicate to them in Portuguese what needed to be done, but they're like, they weren't understanding. So I found myself at 6 months into Portugal speaking like a 1.5-year-old, actually being a translator for someone who couldn't speak Portuguese. So I saw what they were doing and trying to work it out, and they look at each other, and then I heard them try English, because that's the go-to, and that wasn't working well because the people at the market those people don't speak English. So I intervened, and I heard them say something. I said, is this self-serve? And I said, yes, it is. You just take a bag there, put it in, and then they'll weigh it for you and tell you how much you owe. And they said, oh, thank you. And then there was some exchange, and, she asked if that was all they wanted. And they said, what? I said, she just wants to know if you're finished. And they said, yeah. And so they handed her the bag. She went to weigh it, and she came back and said, Imais, and they said, and are you finished? And there was some confusion because they were done with that particular fruit, but they had more. So anyway, I just kind of facilitated the communication so that it was a little bit smoother. And I said, look at me, I speak like a 1.5-year-old, but I'm helping someone communicate with someone who doesn't speak English in Portuguese. So, and that was one of those moments. It's like, oh, okay, 6 months ago, I couldn't do that. the sense of, have I arrived yet? I haven't experienced that, but in this moment, I'm being a part of this in a way that I wasn't before, in a much deeper way. So
Yeah.
I that got me to believing that the sense of settling in is a very gradual process. It is very much like developing a relationship with somebody where it deepens,
Yes.
but you may not necessarily know that it's deepening till you reach a place and you go, oh,
Yeah, the evidence, I suppose. Yes, the evidence of your sense of your feeling about the thing. And well, congratulations. I think that's a lovely moment where you intervene as an intermediary between, well, either for a Portuguese person or some visitors there. When you said that, she said, "Are you finished?" I was just thinking of the comedy value in that. I thought, no, we're not finished, and on it would go, into another sort of comedy sketch there. But it's lovely. And has anyone else got a moment like that? Do let us know. Mine was when I was standing behind an old lady at a multi-banco ATM machine, and she couldn't pay her bill, or turned to me as if to say, "Do you know how to make this thing produce a cup of coffee or whatever?" And I said, "I can do that." And I stepped forward, and I helped her pay the bill on the multi-bank. I was thinking, yes, that is a rite of passage. To be able to
yes,
not only be competent myself in doing that, but step in and help a Portuguese elder do the same thing. It was a lovely moment. I suspect you and I
absolutely.
have the same sense of achievement from our experiences there.
Yeah, I do. When I'm conscious of it, I celebrate every little moment. Like, oh, a new word! I remembered it. It's like,
All the Portuguese people in the Mercado just, oh, it's the American guy. He's just learned a new word again.
right. He's got a new vegetable in his vocabulary.
It's called Slug as well, or something like that. He's on this YouTube channel talking about what he's been thinking about this week. For you people here, pleased to see you here. Michelle, Francis as well. Good morning to you both. Bon dia, criatura. James, shouting out
I
for you
won't
this
try to
week.
do my shout outs while I'm talking. I'm not quite as good as Carl.
It can go horribly wrong, believe me, behind the scenes. Well, that's fantastic, James. What do we call that then? What would be a name for this sort of Portuguese rite of passage where you get an actual measurement, don't you, or a moment of how you're settling in? And we talked about this, didn't we, before? It might have been last week or one of our 10 episodes. The
There you go.
settling, not settling in a bad way, but settling in a
Right.
good way, the completion, the fulfillment of being
Yeah.
here. But there's a word for it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know. And for me, the experience is almost always in retrospect. So the moment has passed, and then you think back and go, "Oh, that was just like this one. That was one of those moments back then when that happened." And it's
Yes.
happening all the time, but we're looking back at it. One of the things I say to my clients so frequently, because when we're in the process of self-change, we're actually working on trying to get beyond whatever is holding us back or whatever that is. It's not unusual for clients to say it feels like nothing's changing.
Yes.
And then I say, well, remember 6 months ago when we got started and this was what was going on in your life. And now we look at where we are now and they go, oh yeah.
Now you mention it.
Right.
Absolutely right. Yes, and
Yeah.
it
And
needs
I
doing.
think,
It does need doing, doesn't it? It's an important thing to do, to have that sort of review and reflect, because we can take so many things for granted, which is part of the settling conversation. It's coming up to 9, where we're
it's
going to
like,
try our new children's program, James and
and I'm
Gilda.
going to stay today.
Good. Don't disappear just yet.
I'm
All
not
right.
going to leave.
We got a bit of feedback about that. I remember the feeling. I remember feeling the sense of achievement. Someone stopped me to ask directions. I was able to help them. That's amazing, Pam.
Nice.
I mean, that's second stage, isn't it? Because the first
Yes.
time, I think, is like, "Desculpa, estrangeiro, desculpa." And the Portuguese person driving goes, "Oh, okay," just drives off or whatever. But to be able to give the directions there rather than just stand there speechless is fantastic, Pam. Well done.
Yes.
Parabéns from Pete. You are smashing it. I still feel pretty toddler level Portuguese, as I'm not confident with my accent. I
Eu
think part of
também.
Pete, part of his toddler act is just to look cute as well, hoping that Portuguese grandmas will pat him on the head and touch his cheek and go, "Lindo, lindo." I had a similar moment many years ago, actually, in a Portuguese cafe in the UK, translating between an Englishwoman and the Portuguese cafe, and it felt great. Look at you, Andy, with
Yes.
that. Oh, Reshab's here already, I think, with some compliments for Gilda this morning. The first of many, I
Olá,
suspect.
Luís.
Yeah, No. Well done. Thanks for the inspiration. Me and you have no excuses with our Portuguese fella. Have to start chatting in it when you're over. Look, please video that. Can you imagine that? Andy Gilchrist and Pete there talking to each other in Portuguese. I'd pay to watch that, actually. I'm sure that could be very amusing. Okay, superb stuff. It's 9:01. We're still working on the mellow jingle. And Warren has been busy. What a guy. But just in case anyone's dropping off, we've got this now to announce Gilda. Wave your golden mugs in the air, shake them around like you just don't care, but don't get tea off your laptop. Morning, Gilda!
Good morning. How are you?
You get your hair on that.
I'm so proud of you.
Why? What do we do?
Of your
what have you done now?
voice.
Why?
Helping people trying to express yourselves in Portuguese.
Oh, look at that, James. It makes it all worthwhile to have Gilda say that to us this morning. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to watch that on the replay as soon as we finish today. Gilda, thank you.